the Broncos have made their way to the city of brotherly love, looking to leave their rocky 3-game losing streak behind.
We know we have a huge challenge ahead of us, finding a way to get a win on the road in a hostile environment against a great opponent.
Brock Osweiler will get the start, and to be Franklin with you, finding a little electricity on offense will be key.
We wanted a veteran presence in our quarterback room, a guy who's played in big games, a guy who can lead our offense.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia, but the Broncos defense will look to rain on the Eagles parade.
We just got to go out there and play a fair game. If we're able to do that, I feel, comfortable with our odds.
The Fresh Prince may have left, but don't leave your seat. The Broncos TV pregame show starts right now. Brock Osweiler set to make his first start in a Broncos uniform since that magical run in 2015. That year, of course, ended with Denver winning it all. Today, though, he enters with hopes of providing a spark to an offense that's really struggled the past few weeks. Meanwhile, the Broncos boast the #1 defense in the league, hoping to be tested this morning, though, by second-year quarterback Carson Wentz. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Broncos TV pregame show. I'm Phil Milani. We are in Philadelphia, where the Broncos are 1-5 all-time, their only win coming in 1986. And today they face the team with the best record in the NFL. We have a great show in store for you, including a one-on-one with head coach Vance Joseph. But first, let's check in with the team as it made its way inside the Link. The Broncos are desperate for a win today to avoid their first 4-game losing streak since 2010. Meanwhile, the Eagles are heading in the opposite direction. They come into today winning 6 games in a row. For more, let's check in with head coach Vance Joseph, who's with Matt Boyer. Matt?
Coach, this week you make the change to Brock Osweiler early in the week. How has the team responded, and how has his history with this team helped him out?
The team's excited. Brock's been here. He's won games for this locker room. He's a smart guy. He's a great leader. So everyone's excited, for a change, and a change of having a chance to play a fair game. Brock's experience, I'm excited about. He's going to play the right game for our football team.
When you look at this Eagles team, a young quarterback who's playing very well, they're also defending the run very well. When a team has that much momentum, how do you stall that momentum? How do you set the tone early on to make sure that doesn't carry over?
Well, we have to play our game, and our game is obviously playing great defense. Doesn't matter who we play. Offensively, taking care of the football. We've proven that we can run the football against any front in this league and play defense also. So it's more about what we're doing, right versus wrong on Sunday afternoon.
Best of luck.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you very much, Matt. Now we're joined by Broncos senior reporter Andrew Mason. And Mace, we just heard from VJ right there, and a good start will be key today. And how will that help the Broncos defense deal with Carson Wentz?
Well, it's really simple. The defense can do what it wants to do when it's got a lead. When the Broncos are behind, and in particular, when they've been behind 2 scores, as they've been most of the last 3 games, then teams can play conservatively against the Broncos defense. They don't have to throw outside against all-pro cornerbacks Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib. And the quarterbacks that go against them, they don't have to hold the ball quite as long looking for those late opening receivers, so that diffuses the effectiveness of the pass rush, particularly from the edge. And so that in turn reduces the Broncos' ability to get takeaways, and that affects their ability to get a positive turnover margin. And the defense, really, you look at the last 3 years, one of the things that's done well is get takeaways. But that hasn't been the case this year, especially in the last 3 games, because the Broncos have been playing from behind.
And today they have a big challenge with Carson Wentz. He's playing at an MVP-type level. He's tied for the lead in the league with 19 touchdown passes.
Yeah, he's doing so much so well, and it starts up here. for Carson Wentz. I recall going down to the Senior Bowl a couple of years ago, or actually just under a couple of years ago, and seeing how quickly he absorbed the pro concepts from day to day. And that's when it was apparent to me that he was going to be an outstanding pro quarterback, seeing his day-to-day growth when coaches would show things to him and he would quickly incorporate that into his game. And you see that out here. It's not just what he does after the play, but watch what he does pre-snap, getting everyone on the Eagles offense into the right place, getting them into the right play. And then you have the fact that the Eagles offense is incredibly balanced. They can beat you on the ground as well as they can beat you in the air. And even Wentz's scrambling is a big part of that. It just seems like the Eagles are always making the right decisions on offense, and that starts with Carson Wentz making the right decisions pre-snap. And everything flows from there. It's one of the reasons why they're very tough to deal with, because Carson Wentz is running this offense with the savvy of a 10 or a 15-year veteran.
And the Broncos have a great pass rush, but only 17 sacks this season. Do you think they'll be able to get to Wentz today?
Well, I think part of that's going to depend on whether they can play with a lead. If they play with a lead, then Carson Wentz is going to probably hold that ball for a little bit longer, look for his outside targets. And if the Broncos are in front, you'll see that. But if the Broncos are behind again, as has been the case, then he'll probably dump the ball off quicker, look for Zach Ertz on the interior a little bit more. And in order to get the pass rush going then, the Broncos are going to have to maybe get things going with blitzes up the A and B gap. And so there's possibilities there as well. And we saw last week with the use of Shane Ray, Shaq Barrett, and Von Miller together for several plays that they can get that they can do some things there. I think we may see more of that today. And that opens up some possibilities on the interior rush when you put one of those guys over the A and B gaps. So there are things the Broncos can do, but ideally, to get back to the original point, you want to get a lead and force Carson Wentz to hold the ball a little bit longer, and then that'll allow Von Miller and Shane Ray and Shaq Barrett to attack from the edge and really maybe force the Eagles into some uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, make Wentz become a little bit of a gunslinger, if you will. It'll help that the Broncos have the number one defense on third down. Getting off the field will be important today. Mace, thank you very much. You can find Andrew Mason on Orange and Blue 760 every weekday from 10 to noon. That's for First and 10 at 10. You can also follow Mace on Twitter at Mace Denver. Also be sure to check out his game reflections every Tuesday on DenverBroncos.com. Now here's Von Miller, who's been very impressed with the Eagles' young quarterback.
He does have, ability to stay up. He's not trying to go down. He's out there trying to play football. He's not even playing quarterback. He's out there playing football. And, it's similar to, Ben Roethlisberger and Andrew Luck. But, like I said, I'm not making, any comparisons. He's totally different, faster than those guys, quicker than those guys. It's going to be a tough challenge. He's number 2 pick in the draft. You got to be able to do that. You got to be able to do that before you can do anything else. So, he's a star quarterback. He has a total package. Everything. Check marks across the board for, Carson Wentz.
Some notable comparisons there from Von Miller, who saw his 5-game sack streak get snapped last week. He'll probably line up all along the defensive line today, especially with the Eagles' all-pro left tackle Jason Peters out for the season. Let's once again check in with Matt Boyer, who's standing by inside the Broncos locker room.
Thanks, Phil. Yep, welcome into the Broncos locker room. The equipment staff behind me making their last-minute checks before today's game. Now, the big storyline coming into this one, of course, the change at quarterback. Brock Osweiler comes in to replace Trevor Siemian. Anytime you have a new starting quarterback, you want to be able to run the ball effectively. And it's going to be tough because this Eagles defense comes in with the number 1 ranked run defense in the NFL. If guys like C.J. Anderson, Jamal Charles, Devontae Booker, if that three-headed monster of a running attack can get going early, it should set the tone nicely for the Broncos on the offensive side. On the defensive side, it's all about the turnover battle, and the Broncos want to make sure they get on the board early. Last week in the first half, Domata Peko recovers a fumble. Darian Stewart gets an interception. The Broncos were off and running early in the turnover battle. If they can get some momentum on the defensive side, force Carson Wentz to throw the ball into dangerous spots, could spell a win for this Broncos team on the road. Keep it tuned to DenverBroncos.com after today's game as well. Phil Milani and myself will be live inside the Philadelphia locker room. We'll also have Brock Osweiler and Vance Joseph live at the podium. But for now, Phil, we'll send it back to you on the field.
Thank you very much, Matt. We'll see you out here field level in just a bit. But now we're joined by Broncos insider Steve Atwater for your keys to the game. And the first one has to do with the Broncos mentality.
Yeah, mentality. The Broncos really, truly have to believe they can win this football game. With all the things that's happened around the Broncos here recently with the change in quarterbacks, going from Trevor Siemian to Brock Osweiler, with the problems we've had in the red zone scoring and all those types of things, we got to put all that stuff in the past and know that we got to focus on this one game and we can come out and win this game. If they believe that, we'll get the job done.
Hopefully Brock will bring a little bit of a spark to that offense, a fresh energy mindset inside that Broncos locker room. All right, key number 2.
Yeah. Key number 2 is that we win the turnover battle. Now, we've talked about this week in, week out. The Broncos have 31 consecutive wins when we win the turnover battle. We haven't done that the last couple of games. We got to get back on track today, offensively protecting the ball and defensively doing everything you can, scrapping, clawing, trying to get that ball out and hold on to interceptions when we can.
Yeah, maybe force Carson Wentz to run around, make some decisions he doesn't want to do. Broncos minus 11 in the turnover margin. That's second worst in the NFL. Steve, your final key.
Final key is that we contain their great tight end, Mr. Ertz, Zach Ertz. He's having a great season for them, and we've been having some issues this season covering tight ends. So the more we can do to either double team him or redirect him, guy jamming him at the line of scrimmage and making him reroute, I think the better job we'll do on the tight end. And if he doesn't score, I think we have a great chance of winning this ball game.
Ertz leads all tight ends with 6 touchdown receptions this season, and we saw it last week. Travis Kelce, 133 yards receiving and he had a touchdown there. So Travis Kelce was a problem last week.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, if we stop Zach Ertz, I think we have an excellent chance of winning this ball game. This guy, they've really been targeting him in the red zone as well. So and that's been an area of concern for us offensively, scoring in the red zone. They've been very successful at doing that, so we got to stop them in the red zone.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Those are Steve Atwater's keys to the game. You can find Mr. Atwater on Orange and Blue 760 Monday through Friday for 1st and 10 at 10, along with Mace and Ryan Edwards. Also, check out the Broncos YouTube page. Steve and me every weekend for Good Morning Broncos Country.
That's right.
And here's one additional key from C.J. Anderson. Get that running game going early and often.
Absolutely.
Just them moving to the ball. They run fast to the ball and pursue well. So, I mean, we just got to hit them and go this week and not dance around back there in the backfield.
We just got to get better. I got to find a way to, like I said, long runs. The scouting report says I'm not a home run threat. Well, let's prove them wrong. Now it's time to make that next step in our room, and that's protecting the football and making long runs.
Once we run the ball on teams and be effective in the run, that opens up everything else in the pass, and it gets us going. So we run first team, and we got to run it and open up everything else.
Getting that running game going might be a little bit difficult against this Eagles' top-ranked rushing defense. So we're back here with Matt Boyer now. And Matt, the Broncos might actually use the pass to set up the run with Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, we've heard all week long, right, from Brock Osweiler and Vance Joseph. You got to protect the ball. Just be a game manager. You don't have to do too much. And if you remember back in 2015, that's exactly what Brock did. Brock let that historic defense do its thing, and he just kind of took what the defense was giving him. You think back to that Chicago game, finding Cody Latimer in the end zone. You think back to New England, just trying to make plays, just giving the defense a chance to close it out. And I think that's exactly what he has to do here.
Yeah, Brock making his 8th career start in a Broncos uniform. He started 14 games last season with Houston. On the other side of that, Trevor Siemian taking a bit of a backseat this week.
Well, Coach Vance Joseph said, this might be the best thing for his career at this point in time. Just take a breather. We've heard from Trevor. He said he was pressing up to this point and said he felt like he needed to make something happen. And that's not the mentality that you want from your starting quarterback. You don't want him to force bad decisions. And so maybe this is going to be a big benefit to him and his career going forward. Give him a breather, give him some time to reflect, and then he'll come back a new guy.
The approach today definitely being a game manager. Nothing wrong with that. That'll be Brock's approach today. And that's where things took a turn for Trevor Siemian.
Take care of the football, find completions, find ways to move the sticks. You don't always have to take the big play. 4 + 4 + 4 equals a first down. check downs are okay, flats are okay, so it's taking what the defense gives you, taking it one play at a time. And when you have that approach and you stack up a lot of good plays, you're going to have good results at the end of the game.
Certainly, last game I kind of felt like I was trying to make something happen, especially at the end there. But yeah, it's tough to say. I think just the one thing is when a lot of the mistakes I've made have been off schedule and when I've gotten out of the pocket. So it's something I'll learn from and hopefully clean up.
All right, Matt, time to put a bow on this show. Your final thought.
Are we going to do a final thought, or are you going to do two
no,
again?
One
okay,
final thought.
All right. My final thought is to win the turnover battle. We've heard it. Defense needs to get takeaways. They started to do it last week against Kansas City. I think they're on the right track. Offense, protect the ball. We just mentioned it with Brock. I think that's a recipe for a win in Philly.
Yeah, we heard VJ say, let's just play a fair game, and I think that's a good point. My other one, let's start out with the early lead. We talked about it with Mace. This is a tough place to play. The fans are really aggressive. Get that early lead, build some confidence, and really get behind Brock early. I think that'll be a huge key to today's game. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back live post-game from the podium and inside the locker room. But until then, this has been the Broncos TV pregame show.